Now, say my name.
The Rolling Bad Podcast.
You're goddamn right.
Welcome to the Rolling Bad Podcast, episode number 61, coming at you from the desolate wastelands of Albuquerque, New Mexico. We're recording on Friday, January 18th, and I'm your host, Bill Costello. With me tonight is
Ryan Taylor,
bringing you the soft rock sounds of... Oh, wait, no, this is the AOS pod. Sorry,
wrong one.
Yeah, my bad.
Okay. Ugh. I feel like we're just Albuquerque radio there.
Yeah. From the old days.
Send in your greatest rock song. We will play it on the hour every hour.
Playing Korn's favorite.
Marathi's Lullaby.
I love it. I love it. So here we are again, recording 6 days after our last show.
Yeah, it's pretty quick.
Yeah.
But we wanted to get back on the right schedule.
Yep.
To get you the content. Well, to get Bill the content so you can take time to edit.
Yeah. Today's show is going to be our sort of narrative focus show. So in the lore segment, we're going to talk about a bunch of things to do with narrative. And I kind of like the way you were putting it before, the who, what, when, where, why of narrative play. And so we're going to fold that around with like what to do with your list, you know, not necessarily making a loser list, but how to embellish your list a little bit. Talk about, you know, how to do the campaigns, whether it's map-based or a ladder-based thing, and some different ideas for map-based campaigns, and then how to keep engagement going in a narrative, even just a two-person campaign like we're doing, or, you know, something as big as, say, AOS or the Beyond Realm's Edge events that are going to have actual, you know, serious narrative inclusivity. So, yeah, like that word?
It's fancy right there.
I'm good. IR word good. So, and of course, you know, we're going to do our normal stuff. We're going to talk about the new stuff that's going up for pre-order tomorrow. So since we're recording on a Friday, it's really weird, but the new pre-orders aren't up yet.
Yep. They're not here in the US, but we can travel to the lands of hobbits. Through the power of the internet. We can look at the pre-orders for tomorrow.
Thank you, New Zealand.
Yep. Thanks for being crazy amounts of time in the future.
Yeah, you guys are awesome.
Not much else in the intro today. So I think we'll jump straight into the next section. Okay, welcome to the New Dawn, where we're going to talk about the pre-orders that will dawn tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wow. God, that's terrible. Anyway, so first up is Tiny Titans.
Yeah.
You want to lead us in with some Adeptus Titanicus news?
Sure. There is a whole bunch of stuff coming out tomorrow for pre-order. So by the time you are ingesting this into your ear holes, they'll be up for pre-order. You have the Adeptus Titanicus, the Titan Death rules are coming out. So it's the first expansion for Adeptus Titanicus. So I'm pretty jazzed about that. Even though I haven't done anything but build some buildings for Titanicus yet, I really want to get that stuff done. But I have a few projects, like I have to finish our narrative army first, and then I can jump into other things like that. But also, they're releasing a Adeptus Titanicus Reaver Battle Titan with Melta Cannon and Chain Fist. So that's a cool looking model. I don't know if I'm going to plunge for it right away, but it's very cool looking.
Yeah, and I think this was the one that was announced a while ago.
Yeah, I think so.
Which caused a lot of uproar because people thought, "Oh no, I've already bought a Titan."
Right.
And, you know, there's bits on the model for magnets.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to do a pack
for
weapons, and it sounds like GW listened a little bit to that, but
they sure
probably
did.
already had something in the progress anyway, because there is also going to be the Titan. The weapon pack, on there as well.
The weapon pack that they're releasing has got the plasma annihilators, laser blasters, power claw. So they're fulfilling that promise of bringing out the weapons so that you don't have to buy the hugely expensive box sets boxed Titan every time. You can start to magnetize and start to get new loadouts on these things.
And I would assume that it's like anything else where you can get the Warlord, you can get the Titan, and it'll have some weapons on it. 6 months down the line, you can get the parts of that.
Yeah.
We might just need to wait a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Rather than rushing out and getting another Titan. If you don't need one, you might just want another one. And
Right.
if you're Bill, you might just need another one for your shelf.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, because, shrink wrap. Shrink wrap saves lives.
Hey,
Hashtag.
you've taken the first step.
I have indeed.
First step with that video on the Facebook page. It's the first step. Admitting you have a problem.
And that video got a ton of responses, and I mean, funny. I didn't think it was that funny. I thought it was just an inside joke between us, but evidently people understand that I have an issue. So
as he looks up.
Yeah, and sees all the shrink wrap. So also coming out for Adeptus Titanicus, there's 3 different transfer sheets coming out. There's the Legio Krytos, Legio Vulpa, and Legio Solaria transfer sheets. So gives you a lot more freedom to do the Legion that you prefer, rather than sticking with the one that, the 3 or 4 that were in the main box. So
nice. And do each 3 of them have a background story?
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Oh,
guessing?
they're
Okay.
fleshed out. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It's
I
really...
don't know much about the Titans other than they used to be like thousands of dollars. And
Yeah.
and
now they're
Now they're super
hundreds of
tiny.
dollars.
So I'm not too interested in the
Yeah.
the Adeptus Titanicus because I'm not a huge sci-fi fan. But what does lead me to hope that happens at some point is mini Maw Crushers.
Oh, man.
We saw them once.
Yeah.
Put them in a box. GW.
Yes.
I'm just going to start doing this in this section because of an item that will come on it later.
Yeah.
But come on, GW. Mini Maw Crushers.
There you go.
You can do it.
You have it in you.
So that's it for Adeptus Titanicus. And then
Yep.
we do have another specialist game.
Yes.
Has a release. The
Big
Middle
one.
Earth Strategy Battle Game Generals Accessories Pack.
Yes. Well, there's a big rollout for Middle-earth because they're releasing the Gondor at War book along with, the attendant dice and other things. But the release of the accessory pack is a re-release. It's the old pack that had gone, they sold out of it. So I don't think they truly understand or believe how well the Middle-earth strategy battle game has gone over in different places. So that accessory pack sold out pretty quick. So this is a chance to get it again. So I have to say it, if you're into the Middle-earth strategy battle game, which is very, very good now with the new rules and all, this is something you want, you need, grab it because, last time it sold out and this time I'll bet it will also. But the big news there is the Gondor at War campaign sort of supplement book that's going to have and flesh out all the Gondorian forces. Plus, they're releasing models and what have you for it. So it's a good release for Middle-earth.
Yeah, it looks like they're re-releasing the 3 hunters.
Yes.
But in plastic.
Yeah.
Which all look pretty good, apart from frowny Legolas. He does look very frowny. But I did see them coming off a boat with the Army of the Dead. And that still looks awesome, whether it's in miniature or in film.
Oh, yeah.
Then we do have a couple of books coming out. We have Celestine, the limited edition, coming out.
Oh, I didn't realize. Okay, I thought it was. Is that the All Saints collection or is that just Celestine?
It is Celestine.
That's awesome. So many people love her.
I love the description of this. This is great. The cover is designed to look like a tapestry.
Oh.
In case you didn't get that from the picture. It looks a really cool book. I think some of the limited editions are sometimes not worth it. Battle tomes, things like that, unless it's really your army.
Yeah.
But I think Black Library's knocking it out of the park with their limited edition books. Almost where you can be proud to have a shelf of them. It looks super cool.
Yeah.
But more importantly than this 40k book, God, is if you put an order in on the GW store from tomorrow, for most of the place, New Zealand is tomorrow. You're living the future.
You're in the future now.
Right now. You will get a Warhammer Adventures Book 0.
Yeah.
Which actually has, you'll actually get 2. So it's 2 Book Zeros introducing the Warhammer Adventures.
Right.
In there for both things.
And these are the books that are aimed for kids.
That's right. That's right. Or people that like to just read.
Yeah.
They really are. They're aimed at kids.
Mm-hmm.
Bold move, GW.
Yeah,
Bold
it's great.
I think the Warhammer Adventures is an absolutely great idea. And the only reason I'm saying bold move is by putting that in every order that comes from your store. Not only do you get out there, but you're going to rile up
Oh, yeah.
a lot of people with this who, are like, oh, you're killing my hobby. You know what?
No.
If you don't like it, just put it in the bin.
Yeah.
Or
throw it into your local school.
Exactly. Get it to a kid. Get in the hand of a kid and ask them what they think.
Yeah, because it's not aimed at you. Sorry, but
25-year-old basement dweller, 50-year-old internet warrior.
Why are you looking at me? Yeah, it fits. Okay.
Anyway, yeah. So that's super exciting to see that finally getting released. We've had it is weird hearing the Doctor and a companion talk.
I know it is. Did you see the interviews they did on the Twitch stream or the YouTube stream?
Yeah.
It's
super cool. It's weird to have your things that you're interested in start to merge.
Yes.
And come together. We had Brian Blessed.
Yeah, doing
stuff, and you're like, oh, hi, buddy. I never associated your voice with Warhammer, but now I do.
Yep. Now you're the only Gortrek I can ever think about. He's just so perfect at that. Gosh.
Yeah. Exciting times for that. Then we have a little bit of Hex-based news coming out.
Yeah, we do indeed. So if you're into the whole, I want to say Shadespire, but I should stop that because it's Warhammer Underworld Nightvault now. And they're releasing 2 new packs for that. The Godsworn Hunt and Molog's Mob. So both of those the minis look over the top. I mean, they just look fantastic. And they did the live stream on Twitch this week was showing off I believe the Molog's Mob, because they did the Godsworn Hunt the week before. And that Molog's Mob is crazy. The leader of that mob is a 7 damage Trog who just basically looks at every other model and goes, dead, dead, dead.
Yeah, he does 4. His attack does 4 damage, so he just one-shots people around.
Yeah, he one-shots orcs, Stormcast, whatever. But he's definitely killable, and he can't be given a lot of different upgrades. So it's not like you can tweak him to become some, unkillable thing. He'll die, but he's going to be tough until you manage to get some real hurting on him.
Yeah. He looks super fun, and he's in the new Gloomspite book as well. And he's a bit of a runt, which I think is funny.
Yeah.
He's just this little dank cold Troggoth.
Yeah.
That's lived in a very small cave.
Yeah.
And all he wants to do is sleep.
Aww. And they woke his butt up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we've got the other one, the Godsworn Hunt collection. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's chaos.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, not generic chaos, but it's non-chaos.
Yeah.
It's barbarians. I just had a little look on the website and spun them around a couple of times.
Yeah.
Didn't realize the dog didn't have eyes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he has no eyes. I thought, it just looks like a bull mastiff or something like that.
Yeah.
And no, he's been touched by chaos.
Nice.
So excited just to see what that looks to bring.
Oh yeah.
There is a lot of rumors of Dark Oath coming out, and I just think if this is the sort of thing we're going to see to replace Marauders or take that theme to 11.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
It is. So. And the beauty of looking at these Warhammer Underworld's releases is they're always the precursor to what comes out. It might be a while before it comes out, but they're an indication of what's coming down the pipeline. So
yeah, exactly. And we've seen a little bit of Dark Oath before. We've seen the War Queen and the War Chief, and now they've got someone to lead.
Yeah.
Or lead alongside. I didn't actually check out their rules for AOS. I'll do that later.
Yeah, we'll have to do that.
And I didn't do that because this is the most exciting release for the week. It's not from Games Workshop directly. It's from Forge World. If you haven't seen this already, get to their website. Heads.
Battletome Heads can't be too far away.
I mean, just like Underworld's Forge World normally just start putting things out, which then we get books from. We've got the Troggoth Hag.
Yeah.
We now have a Gloomspite book. We have Stormcast heads, both male and female. I'm going to call it now. The next chamber for Stormcast is just going to be heads. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it.
This reforging the whole body is getting really old. Let's just do the heads.
That's what the Sacrosanct Chamber have realized.
Yeah.
The process is flawed because you try and bring back the whole body.
That's right.
Yeah, we just need heads, and we can put them on the armor. Boom. Done.
I think you got a winner there.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But what I do know is that they did release 10 heads for males and 10 heads for females, set 1 and set 2. Forge World, get these painted before you put them up on the website.
I tell you, that's the most unflattering photo for a product. I mean, have one of the heavy metal guys paint them up. It won't. I mean, I don't know what they have in the pipeline. I don't know how much work they have, but they could have made that splash so much nicer.
I don't even think it needs to be heavy metal. I literally think it just needs to be very basic.
Mm-hmm.
Skin, white, wash. Brings out the detail because your website's white.
Yeah.
And you've got resin on there on a grey plastic model, which I think you photoshopped. Yeah. But I'm not sure.
Maybe a little.
So yeah, and I could be wrong with that, but
it just washes out. Yeah.
It doesn't look very, very good. You can't see the detail. There's the male heads have like a foreshot of them, and you can see the detail a bit more on there.
Yeah.
Because there's a bit more shadows, and they look a lot better when you see them in that one picture. So get them painted up.
Yeah.
Or send us a couple, and I'll just
we'll do them up and send you the pictures.
Yeah, exactly.
So, sure.
I collect heads anyway, apparently. So I'd be more than happy to do that for you. But yeah, heads for Stormcast.
You can't beat that.
$19.
Yeah.
For a set of 10.
Yep.
Not bad. I mean,
so you can literally say they're $2 a head.
yeah, exactly. If you buy both sets, it's only $25 for each set, which means for $50, you don't need to bother yourself with the pesky bodies that normally come in a $50 box.
Oh yeah,
you just have to clip off and
all
throw
that
away.
Sequitur stuff. God, get rid of it.
No, now you can just get the heads. Oh, saving the planet one sprue at a time. Thanks, Forge World. Anyway, I hope that this is actually something that we do see. We see coming through. Maybe we get Chaos heads, maybe we get Goblin heads, maybe we get Orc heads. I'm trying to think of something else I would want heads for.
Yeah.
Just keep on doing heads.
Everything.
Actually, what I would really like you to do is realm-specific weapon packs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just like we have endless spells coming from there, just do here's the weapons from that.
Or, it'd be tough to do, but, torsos, like Forge World does for Space Marines. Do some specific torsos for different types of, it's some conversion work, but the people in your hobby are into that. So
exactly.
They're going to do it with or without you. Why don't you make some money instead of some of these other guys that are doing it? So,
yeah, but I think they are just ramping up the AOS side of Forge World.
Yeah.
So hopefully this is the beginning of something pretty sweet.
Yep. So is that it for New Dawn?
I think so. Let's jump on into creation.
Okay, let's do that. So now let's jump into creation and what we've worked on in the past 6 days. So for me, all I did was I stripped and primed some spirit hosts that you gave me so that I can get those ready for our confrontation. And I know I said last time that I finished building the Estrella Super Heavy Space Marine tank, so now I've got it all base coated for the Space Marines, and I won't talk about my mistake with panel lining and trying to do some strange panel modulation on it because it didn't work. So now it's just a nice shade of red, and I just will go from there and do it the normal way.
I mean, I'm super confused because it's not blue. So there's only Ultramarines, right?
We have to get you into 40K. I mean, we really have to get you into 40K.
It's for those listening at home, it's red, so I'm sure it's an orc vehicle. Anyway, yeah, it's looking good.
Blood Angel's red. Yeah, I'm happy with how the base coat came out. Nice and smooth. Hopefully I'll get the black and the yellow and all the other stuff on there. Hopefully this weekend, maybe.
Nice.
So-
Get some hobby time in.
Yeah, I'm going to try. I'm really going to try this weekend.
Nice.
And I also finished assembling and base coating my plasma obliterator for 40K also. So that's an older kit, but I really like it, and it's been sitting around moldering for a while, and I saw it, and I just had to do some work on it. So
Yeah, and I can see that, and that looks pretty good.
yeah, I love
sure.
that. It's a nice little piece of terrain, and it's got it. I haven't looked up the new rules for it. I don't know if it's any good anymore or what, but we'll take a look. So, did you work on anything?
I worked on getting my car looked at.
That's a good, yeah.
What looked like just a dented bumper ended up being almost $4,000 worth of
My God.
repairs in 2.5 weeks without a car.
Oh,
Yay.
joy.
So notice to anybody anywhere, if you're stopped at a light, don't look behind you.
Yeah.
Just accept that maybe sometimes something will happen. Don't tense as well.
Yeah,
Apparently that's
don't do
the mistake
that.
I made. So yeah, no, it's been a busy week with work, and 6 days really is unfortunately not enough for
Yeah,
me
boy.
to get anything done.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's creation, and I think battle's in the same area.
Yeah, I didn't get anything.
Less than a week. I don't
Mhm.
think any of us has had an opportunity this week. I was supposed to play with Matt, but he was sick. So
Bummer.
we didn't actually play. So that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd rather he get better than beat me again. So one day.
There you go.
So with that, let's jump on into the lore section. So in this section, what we're going to go over is a couple of narrative events that are coming up. Bill's got the lowdown on these. And then we're going to go over really the who, what, where, when, why, or at least start. You know, we've been talking a little bit about narrative over the last couple of episodes. I think we're going to put a little bit more structure in this one.
Yeah.
So that we're not just two old guys meandering through.
Yeah.
So let's start with the events.
Okay, sure. So we've got two big events coming up. The first one I want to talk about is an event called Beyond Realm's Edge, or BRE 19 as it is known. And that's going to be a 2-day narrative event out there in Northern Virginia. And when I say Northern Virginia, you probably know who's going to be running it, but it's going to be Brian Orban and Aaron Bastian, the two guys that bring you the Nova Open narrative. And they're also working with Alex Palomini to make a new, they're making this like a premier destination type event that's sort of off. It's not around the big conventions, the Adepticons, the LVO. So they're planning it at a time when people can get out there and take part in this. And it's going to be, they're inviting 16 teams of players. So I believe it's 2-man teams. Don't quote me on that. I'll have to check with them before I commit to that. We're looking at signups are going to start on January 22nd. So they'll already be open by the time this goes in your ear holes. But the event itself is on May 31st. So that's the Memorial Day weekend. And it's going to be at the Sheraton Hotel in Reston, Virginia. And the storyline here is it's going to be teams of Vanguard armies that find themselves suddenly on the outer borders of their realms, exploring new territories and investigating reports of sites previously unknown to the mortal realms.
Dibs on Shyish, because that's the normal area. So that's super cool. I know those 3 run really good events.
Yeah.
They've got some really great ideas out on the Neon. So it'll be interesting to see how crazy they get with this.
Yes. These guys are making terrain and boards that are going to be over the top. It's what they're known for. They're known for just amazing work and effort into making an event that people want to be a part of. So, and it makes me really happy and reasonably proud to see something like this going on. In England, you have Realms at War, the Mitzi and those guys put on just an amazing show. And it is truly a premier destination event. And that's what these guys want to do. They want to make a narrative event that people want to go out to. And, I think it's a really good idea to put it on Memorial Day because you can hopefully have the time and the ability to travel out there. So I know I would love to do it, but I don't think I can commit to that weekend just yet. So there might be another plan to sort of participate, but we'll talk about that later.
Cool. I mean, it's super, super cool that we have a narrative event that hopefully sells out pretty quick.
Yeah.
I would love it to sell out 24 hours, people. Let's get this going.
Yeah.
I think if you think back even just a few years ago, to think that you could host an actual just narrative event rather than a tournament.
Right.
And we're starting to see it really take off. And I'm sure there's people out there like, it's always been narrative, but I've seen a flourish of narrative events, and that's super cool to see.
It really is. You know, Steve Herner's been doing Holy Havoc and Holy Wars out there in the Midwest. Well, you know, Chicago area. I believe it's Chicago area, isn't it? I think it is.
Yeah, in the Midwest.
Yeah. And, you know, that is a destination event for narrative players because, you know, if you don't know what Steve Herner does, just look up Holy Wars and Holy Havoc on the web and you'll see the amazing amounts of effort that guy puts in to making boards that are just over the top amazing. His
boards are some of the best that I've seen.
Yeah.
Even, I would say even better than the ones that you see at Warhammer World sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
You know, and each of them are unique. Each of them have their own rules.
Yeah.
It's good to see people with that passion getting rewarded with people taking note and seeing. And as you say, Steve's been doing that for years.
Yeah. And I expect nothing less from Aaron and Brian because they're the exact same type of people. They're going to put every ounce of effort they have into this and make it a destination event. So I'm jazzed, totally jazzed.
Awesome.
So, and then next up, I got a little bit of, don't tell anybody, but have some advance information on the Nova Open narrative event. Obviously, Nova Open is a pretty big show. Everybody knows about it or should know about it. And the story this year is going to, you know, as is their normal want to do, they're going to continue the Dawnland saga. And since Dawnland was sundered yet again, this year they're going to be trying to do something more on the let's build up and rebuild the civilization that was laid waste last year. Instead of having the guilds, you're going to have the city-states. It just, from the sound of it, this is a collaborative effort with, you know, again, it's going to be Aaron and Brian, but you also have Matt Tucker, who's going to be doing a lot of it. And, you know, the whole crew out there, Matt Hayward, is such a great crew, and we'll probably have a full rundown of the crew, and we'll get Matt or Aaron or Brian to come on and talk about it more, but they have an amazing crew out there that some of them do narrative, some of them do the graphic stuff. It's such a class event. But this year, they're going to have you bring an extra hero for your army. The heroes last year, they started out pretty powerful and even got better as you went through and got acclaim for them and they built up. But this year, they're going to be toned down a little bit. So they're going to be in the realm of like an 80-point hero, and they're going to grow up. You're going to be able to customize them. Everybody's hero is going to start the same. And then you're going to be able to customize it as you get the mechanic that they use. It might be acclaim. They might call it something else. But you're going to be able to customize your hero to be what you want him to be. Be prepared to bring an extra hero, somebody that's going to represent you on the board. And you'll be able to grow him up. The other exciting news, for me at least, is that the siege is going to come back this year. The big siege battle that we had with 24 feet of wall with the two different sides fighting over the wall. It was such an amazing thing last year. It was a highlight pretty much. And Matt Tucker, I know, is running that. And I know for a fact that he's going to play test the you-know-what out of it because he's known. And that's why it ran so well last year, was he had play tested it many, many times to make sure that the system that he had, the mechanics, were going to work. And they did. It was phenomenally fun. So I have every faith in Matt. He's gonna bring this one home. Just for the details of the Nova narrative, they're going to be running the narrative Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of Nova. Wednesday night is optional. It's the same thing like last year. You can use it to sort of get a footing for your hero. And, you know, if you're not there Wednesday night, and some people are traveling that day, because the main events all start Thursday. So if you're not there, you're not going to be out of it by any means. But it's going to be Thursday and Friday, so that if you're in the narrative event, you'll have Saturday and Sunday at Nova to do seminars, whatever else you want to do. And, the GT is Saturday and Sunday, so you can conceivably do both this year. And I'm actually thinking about it. If I have my Night Haunt ready, I might jump into the GT and get smashed by, all the East Coast people, not just the West Coast people. So,
in the narrative, you mean? Right.
In both.
Yeah.
I get smashed everywhere. I mean, defeated. I get smashed wherever I go. Take that for what it's worth. But yeah, they're focusing this year on the quality of the games. Each game's going to have its own battle plan. They're going to have them all play tested. You can count on the fact that this crew puts together an amazing event, and it's going to be crazy good. And I've already got my hotel, and as soon as the tickets go up, I'm there.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's going to be the Nova thing, and count on it. We're going to have Matt Tucker and Aaron and Brian and some of the other guys on that crew to talk about it before the event, because it's just, as far as I'm concerned, that was the best event I went to last year. So
yeah, it definitely seemed like it. From the feedback you gave, how pumped you were after you came back from that. So here's to another successful couple of narrative events.
Yep.
Nova and Beyond Realm's Edge.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, check them out. And the narrative event of the year is obviously going to be our 2-player campaign.
That's right.
That's a beautiful segue. It should be in terrible radio.
You should be in pictures. I'm telling you that.
I've got a face for radio, as they would say. So I guess, so we're going to break it down a little bit on here. So we're going to start with lists.
Yeah.
So, you've decided you want to play a narrative event, or even a campaign, or just a couple of games with your friend, or you're just building a list.
Yeah.
You're building your army, and you want it to mean more to you than stat A and stat B.
Yeah.
Now,
I have 10 Liberators and 10 Sequitors. And
yeah, and I'm just going to preface this by saying it's not a wrong way to play.
Nope.
If that's what you like, if that's what you get enjoyment with, do that. But we are going to be focusing on narrative. So narrative lists doesn't mean soft, fluffy, bunny lists, as they have been called in the past.
Yeah.
I think, and I've heard it mentioned on a bunch of shows and things like that, where your list can be narratively written, but when you come to the table, you still want to try and win.
That's right. Rob Symes he famously said, all lists are narrative because they come from this world. They come from a select group of units. So, yeah, they're technically all narrative. And I can kind of agree with that, but...
Well, I think Age of Sigmar is more narrative than Warhammer Fantasy Battles was.
Yeah.
And I think the reason for that is you used to get Warriors of Chaos book that had all 4 gods in it, and you would see people like myself show up with a bunch of Slanesh stuff and then the occasional Khorne hero to win the game.
Yeah,
right?
min-max.
Yeah, exactly. Now you have Blades of Khorne.
Right.
So technically, yes, if you take Blades of Khorne, it's a Blades of Khorne list.
Yep.
Now, there's other things you can do to the list to make it more narrative. Like, why does your gore pilgrims have the pilgrims?
Yeah.
And, you can go with the old healing hammer. There was portals, and we're walking through the woods, and suddenly the Seraphon appear.
That was awesome.
Yeah. And it can be just as basic as that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dan got a lot of crap for that back in the day where he said portals.
Yeah.
We now have portals.
Yeah.
So well played, Dan.
So, yeah, he knew.
Realm gates. But he also had his characters named.
Yeah.
Like, characters that made stories and games got names.
That's right.
So I think you touched on it there. It's not just 10 Liberators.
Yeah.
Right? It's Sigmar's toothpick.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And they've seen battle, they've done things.
Yeah.
You write a little bit of story for them and they come through. This topic really brings me back to an old white dwarf, which I think I've mentioned on the podcast before, where it was back in the day. I still can't find it. It's probably a terrible article, but it stuck with me.
Yeah.
So it can't be that bad. But it was Magrub's Goblin Caravan. And Magrub was a fat goblin who sat on this beautifully converted caravan. He was a trader, so he never fought. But he did have 6 trolls pulling his caravan along. And he had some advisors, so he had a mage.
Yeah.
And his mage was old and dusty. Yeah. Some thought that he maybe had touched on some necromancy, but who knew? But it was literally a goblin model that was painted slightly different with some cobwebs on it, but there was a little blurb below him, and he was suddenly this character in the army rather than just Shaman 1.
Yeah.
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 But that article went on to, you have access to everything in your book. And in Age of Sigmar, in theory, you have access to everything in your Grand Alliance.
Yeah.
But why?
Why is it there? Yeah, why is that? You see it all the time. You see the Seraphon list with the Prime from the Stormcast. Okay, why is the Prime there with the Seraphon? I mean, yes, we all know that he brings a lot to the table, and he brings that thing that the Seraphon don't have. So there's a numerical reason why you want to have that in your army. But if you want to make it a narrative army, I'm not saying drop the Celestant Prime, just have a reason that he's hanging around these Seraphon. There's something out there that they have determined, him and the Slan have talked, and they need to deal with this. And so the Slan is like, hey, you know what? I'll dream up these guys, and you can go out there and, head out with them, and we'll see if we find that and beat it up.
Yeah, or even the Slan don't know, right?
Yeah.
The Slan have read their, I don't know if they still read tablets.
Probably.
They still don't know what the old ones wanted. But, all the tablet says is there, go here, try and stop this, or there will be a tempest coming down. And so then there's your justification. They went, they were fighting the battle, and then they see the lightning and they see the thunder. They're like, this is what the old ones were talking about.
Yeah.
Boom.
Hey, this is it.
Up. Oh, that must be the sign from them. Okay, it worked. Or you can go really deep into it. We've seen primes that are giant riperdactyls.
Yeah.
We saw one that recently that was basically just stardust.
Yeah.
On what looked like an old Balrog conversion with a lizard head. It was great conversion. When you first look at it, you're like, what is that?
Yeah.
But technically it's got the right weapons. And technically it's got the little swirly celestial stuff. And it's on the right base.
Yeah. And that's the biggie and that is one thing. If no matter how narrative you're going with your list and all the conversions you might want to do and all that stuff, keep in mind the mechanics of the game and to be fair to the other guy. Now, if you both agree to play with a certain thing that you've created, hey, that's fine. You can have that little narrative contract there, but keep in mind if you're, you can take a narrative list to a match play tournament. Just keep in mind that your stuff needs to fit the rules so that no one gets an advantage or a disadvantage because of what you're doing.
Exactly. And what might be suitable in a narrative game might not be suitable for a match play game.
Right.
People sometimes frown on proxies and things like that.
Yeah.
So you might have a great backstory for that space demon.
Yeah.
I don't know what the guy calls it, but space demon.
Sure.
With lizard head.
Yeah.
Super narrative description there. But he's put a lot of time into that and he wants to show it off, but he might go to an event that's a non-narrative event and someone's like, well, that's really not.
Yeah.
But it's on the right bit. Yeah. But
I understand, but it's not,
it could be confusing. And that could be a problem. But I think for the most part, people like to see cool stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I think converting something to the theme of your army is one way to do it.
Yes.
If you want to take that narrative into your match play games.
Yeah.
You can convert something that looks super cool and take it out there. And I think that's one way to get the hard stuff in your list.
Yeah.
Or you can be super strict.
Mm-hmm.
And you could write your list and you can go, okay, Steve the Stormcast he's made it. He is now a Lord Celestin.
Yeah.
And his friends in the Vanguard are here.
Yeah.
And as they fought this battle, they suddenly found some Aether Wings, and that's why these are in the list. Whatever the story is, you can tell that I'm really good at coming up with stories.
Yeah, on the fly.
Yeah, brilliant. But you can write yourself a little chart.
Yeah.
You have your list of war scrolls that are in your battle tome. If you don't have a battle tome, whatever's in your Grand Alliance.
Yeah.
Really. But go, why would my army have this? Like, what happened in their backstory that meant that Stonehorn suddenly has 60 gross with them?
Yeah.
You know, what is that reasoning?
Yeah, why would they be hanging out together?
Yeah.
And the thing is you can do this to different extremes. I have seen everything from just a quick narrative of why this group of people, like my Nurgle army that I took to Nova last year, it just had a reasonably one-page, this is why they're all together and why they're here and what their ultimate goal is. Or you can take it completely over the top, like somebody like Steve Foote, who actually, for Realms at War, I believe it was Realms at War, or was it South Coast GT? I think it was South Coast GT,
Yeah.
where he did a issue of a magazine, Gardener's World, for his Sylvaneth.
He also had YouTube videos of him growing his, say, and if you don't know what Gardener's World is, it's just a TV show in the UK where people garden around the world. It's getting self-explanatory.
It's a little weird,
It has this, you're right, you had this great booklet.
Yeah.
Almost, quality.
Magazine quality,
professional grade magazine, but it's just his army list.
That's right. And it gave you everything you need to know about his army, as well as why it was composed the way it was, what was in it, why they were together, what their goals were. And, it totally immerses you in that army, and you feel like you're playing something that matters when you go up against something like that. And then, I'm not saying that every narrative game you go to, you have to do something like this. But if you're going to be playing a list for a long time, or, if it's your favorite list, do something. I mean, you don't have to go that high quality printing routine, but, have a handout to give to the other person with what your stuff is and why it's there and what motivates them to be in that place at that time. Why are they fighting?
Yeah, and you can even go a step further than just the list. So a couple come to mind. Ben Bueno. I don't know if that's his real name, but he's on the TGA, and he has the Wolves of Gur, in which he's basically reskinned Blades of Corn.
Oh, wow.
To fit his theme.
Yeah.
So they're beautiful conversions, beautiful colors, painting. But what he did was he took pictures of his own models, put them into the War Scroll format.
Nice.
Took pictures. So from what I can get from pictures I've seen, he has a battle tome, a hardback battle tome.
Oh my God.
Which looks legit. It's got some art on there. It's got a story section. It's got pictures and miniatures. And I asked him how he did it. How did you take this idea and how did you get this in book format, right? Because it looks super cool. Like, you look at it and you're like, I want one. I'm not creative enough. How do I get one?
Make me one.
Yeah. And he said he used a photo company, Snapfish or whatever.
Yeah, one of those.
To make a picture book.
Yeah.
And just made the photos on each page the right thing. And
that's brilliant.
Got them in. So they print it in a beautiful, they bind it for you. It's in a great thing.
Brilliant.
And that's just an absolute extra level.
Yeah.
The rules are the same.
Yeah.
It's super clear for your opponent because you can be like, yeah, look up in my book and hope that I didn't change those 4s to 3.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. But yeah, I thought that was super cool. And I think one of the original people that did this, Tyler Mangle.
Oh, yeah.
With these endless deserts.
Yeah.
For Tomb Kings. Great work.
Yes.
And what I found really great is now other people are starting a campaign in that endless desert.
Yes.
So he's motivated people to, he wrote such a rich story that people want to continue a narrative.
Right.
In his narrative, which I think is super cool.
Yeah.
It's like the Dreamlands. It's, if you can give someone a space or a group of people a space, that's cool enough.
Yeah.
People will want to make things for that.
That's right.
And each of those armies will have a different backstory. How did they end up in the endless desert?
Yeah. Yep.
Who knows?
That was one of the things from last year's Nova. It was, Why is your army in the Dawnlands? Why are you trapped here with everyone else? I mean, it adds just a little more immersion to your campaign or to your event that brings it more to life. And when you're focusing on narrative, that's what you want. And, to circle this back to the individual list, where, again, and I want to stress this, we're not saying you have to build a loser list, or it has to be thematic to the point to where it can't win. Or, like some people say, and I like the format, the Highlander format, where there can be only one. So you can only take one of any war scroll, one unit. But I also think that in the flavor of Age of Sigmar that we're in right now, that doesn't always work. There might not be 3 battle lines, or the battle lines might not be good enough. So, you can play around with ideas like that, but have a reason that each one of those units, that unit of 10 sequitors, why are they there? What's the name of the sequitur prime? Why are they hanging out, and why are they on this particular mission?
Are you using a bear head or a helmeted head? All the deep questions there, Bill.
I knew it was going to come back to heads.
No, I think you're right. The Highlander format is great for, I almost think, for a one-off.
Yeah.
Is it a challenge? Can you do it? No general's putting together a group of people to fight a battle to lose.
Right.
So even if you're playing narratively, unless you're playing as a bumbling idiot,
yeah, it's true.
At which point you probably want another character that, they go, well, I want one of everything.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, cool.
Yeah.
So those 5 liberators are not called liberators.
Yeah.
They're bumbleers.
They're libertarians.
Yep. No, these are sequiturs and non sequiturs. And 2 duo sequitur. You know what? We're just going to put words in front of sequiturs to convince you're getting one of everything.
That's
buddy.
right.
But that's the thing is, historically,
Yeah.
in fantasy, no one shows up just to lose.
Right.
At least nothing I've ever read, nothing I've ever seen. So even if you're if you're there for a reason, you're fighting a battle for a reason, and it could be that you're defending.
Yeah.
But again, or attacking, it really doesn't matter. You're there to win, whether it's to defend something, whether it's to capture something, whether it's you were walking through a wood and suddenly another army appeared. Unless you've parlayed in the middle, which would actually be a kind of cool scenario as well, with 2 hero models chatting in the middle, then running back.
And starting the war.
Yeah, and you have a choice whether or not to double cross. But you've chosen that before you've even started and put it under a cup.
Oh, nice.
And so as your guys are running back, you lift the cup. And if you did betray, you get a turn 1, but maybe then there's a negative for being a backstabber.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Nice.
That'd be fun.
That could work into a campaign really well.
Yeah, that'd be super cool.
Yeah.
So now that we've worked out that you don't have to take a loser list.
Yeah.
You've got your list. You've worked out why you've got the units in your list. And you don't need to name all of them, but the core of your army, that's the other thing is you can make a list or an army where you've got the core. So you've got your battle line. Everybody needs to have a couple of battle line. Yeah. At least, and a hero. Yeah. Name those guys. Yeah. And then the other people around could be the extras. Yes. They can come and go.
They're the chaff that every army seems to have.
Or every story seems to have. Yeah.
Right. Not everybody's a main character.
Exactly. You've got these NPCs that run around, but they're there to build the tension and build the atmosphere.
Hodor.
I think he was a main character.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. The things he was fighting, I still don't know what they were. Yeah. So, yeah.
Didn't really matter.
Anyway. So, yeah, you've got that. So, once you've worked out your army, why are they taking part? Why are they where they are? Why are they taking part in this battle?
Yeah. Why are they fighting here?
Yeah. Is it, I love this quote here, Nagash killed my father, prepare to die.
Yeah. I wanted to do it with the right,
Okay.
Well, I can't do the Indigo Montoya, but it sounds silly, but you can craft an army based around, let's say you've been thrashed. Well, like you've been thrashed by that bloodthirster, 3 times now? I know, I keep bringing it up.
I don't think that bloodthirster is a name. Yep.
But the thing is for your army, you can actually have a story now where this aspiring champion or whatever is actually got a real case of the I hate yous with that bloodthirster, and he has sworn to defeat that guy no matter what. And that's his reason for being on the battlefield and gathering this war host, is to kill that son of a you-know-what.
Yeah, so. and how does he get powerful enough to take them on? You know, you can plead to other gods and be like, hey, I need your help.
Yeah.
And, you know, probably at some point it will get turned into a spawn. I'm hoping the Bloodthirster gets turned into a spawn, but either that or Matt changes army. Either one. But yeah, you're right. You know, as you play those games, as you, and I think that's the key thing is get the games played.
Yeah.
Create stories with your characters. Even if you just have the narrative of why the army's there, you know, what's in it, and then you can take it to an event like a Nova or even just a tournament and play. And you're going to play, if you play in your local scene, you'll play the same people.
Yep.
You know, generally the same people show up at events.
Sure. And
so if you keep that army around, if you build on that character, the next time you play that person in an event, you can be like, well, according to my book of grudges here, this Bloodthirsters, you've won 4 games against me.
Yeah.
You have crushed the army. However, we did get reinforcements from Hammerhall.
Dun, dun, dun.
Prepare to die. But that probably doesn't happen, right? You probably get beat again. But
maybe.
That time that you do win, procession in the city.
Yeah.
Come back a hero.
That's right.
Everybody forgets about the 4 losses and you remember the one big win.
The big win. But, you know, to continue that narrative story of, you know, your army against the Bloodthirster, and your reason for fighting is to get tough enough to beat that Bloodthirster. Well, you know, people say, well, what if you're not playing against that guy? Well, your reason for being in that other fight, let's say you took it to a match play tournament, your reason for being there is you're trying to attract more followers. You're trying to gain more acclaim. You're trying to gain more renown so that you can build up to the point to where you can take on. So you can actually write that Bloodthirster into your story, even though you're not going to fight him every single time with that army. You're going to bring this army to other places and other events, but you still now have the basis of a reason. And you can look at the other guy across the table and go, yeah, I'm just here to warm up for that son of a that I need to kill.
Just bring like a picture of said Bloodthirster with me. You know, just in case you wonder, this is it.
This is why I'm here.
This is the guy. Yeah, and sometimes an event in a game can spawn a story, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just as you're saying with the Bloodthirster, but it doesn't need to be the fact that I've lost 3 games against that Bloodthirster. It could be just a spell goes off, does something, that, you know, champion from a Marauder unit or a Grimgrass Reaper or something like that. Does the last wound on a giant monster.
Yeah.
In that game that we also played, I had some Savage Orcs, and the Maniacs do this weird thing where, or Morboys, sorry, where if they're next to a monster within 1 inch at the start of the hero phase, you roll a die, and on a 1, 2, 3, they jump on and stab that thing repeatedly in the head. I'd like to point out they did 3 mortal wounds.
Damn.
To that guy. Yeah. They were doing really well. And then they died. Then he got flung off and died.
Oh.
But I'd like to think that there's a little statue to the only damage that's ever been done to that Bloodthirster back at the...
To the Boar Boys.
Yeah, back at the war camp, there's just... Probably just actually that orc strapped to a stick. Going, yeah. He did it.
Yep.
Look at him.
But, and you know, like, again, to continue that narrative. So your Boar Boy unit now has a reason for why they might go after anything big, other than the fact that it's mathematically the correct thing to do in the game because they have that ability. But now you have a story that tells why they do that, not just because, well, you know, because they get a +1 and they get to do this in the hero phase. No, now it's like, no, these guys, they're trained monster killers. They know what they're about.
Yeah, and they can also come in. You can take it a step further with painting and modeling.
Yeah.
You could put a Bloodthirster on their base if they actually
Yeah.
eventually kill it.
Yeah.
Or you could dot the various parts, the extras that you get in a Bloodthirster
Yeah.
kit
Yeah.
around them. So maybe one of them has the part of the blade from his axe attached to his back. The other person has a bit of armor on his shoulder, that sort of thing. And when people go, well, why do your boar boys have that?
Yeah.
You could be like, oh, well, let me tell you the story. And go into the detail of what that is. Or it could just even just be a tally.
Yeah.
And war paint on the side of their boar.
Yeah.
You know, a simple,
kill markings, you know.
Why does that have 5 lines? Well,
I have.
they have killed 5 bloodthirsters now. And I think it's the same one. He keeps on coming back.
They're good at killing him.
These guys keep on killing him. So, you can keep that story going even when you're not in the narrative game.
Right.
Which is great.
Yeah.
But I think the best way to play it, and the best way to actually get a jump start on that narrative, is to take part in a campaign or an event.
Yes.
We've seen a lot of fun stuff come from Realm of War, Nova, even the Path to Glory.
Yes.
Path to Glory, if you play it with rolling,
can
give you some weird results.
That's right.
But it is also a pretty cool way, even if you're picking, as long as you're picking in the right mindset.
Right.
To give you a decent start to an army, and it's going to give you a little bit of rivalry with at least one other person.
That's right,
group.
yep.
And just a bit back and forth.
Yep.
And the cool thing is, if me and Bill are building our armies at the same time, and we start playing, and I'm like, oh, look, I've defeated that, I can be like, hey, you got some bits in there from that stuff? I've got some bits as well.
Mm-hmm.
You can mix and match from a modeling aspect.
Yes.
To create that narrative. But you can also, as you're going through the Path to Glory stuff, certainly, you can be like, okay, what do I need?
Yeah.
What do I need to bring in? Okay, so that's gamey. Thinking, okay, I need this, and if I get this, this is super powerful against Night Hunt. But I kind of need it.
Yeah.
So what do I need to what do I need to accomplish in games to get that?
Yeah. Set a goal.
Yeah, exactly.
So interestingly that you brought up Path to Glory, because that leads us to our next big topic, which is keeping engagement going in your narrative campaign or storyline or whatever you're doing. If it's just a 2-day tournament type thing, how do you keep the players engaged? How do you keep yourself engaged? I tell you, there's so many creative people out there in the world, between Mitzi and Jimbo and Ming Lee, Aaron and Steve Herner and Brian Orban, Matt Hayward, all these guys, Matt Tucker. They have so many great ideas and they have these fantastic ways to implement them. And in order to keep engagement in any kind of narrative campaign, any kind of campaign, I honestly think there has to be some mechanism for growth. The player has to have some form of agency where they can change, grow, improve in some way rather than just, I'm taking my 2,000 point Blades of Khorne army to this event because it's really cool. That gets boring after a while. Some of the systems, obviously GW has come out with Path to Glory, and that's a built-in system of keeping the engagement going, because the best rule, I think, in that whole Path to Glory deal is even if you lose, you get at least 1 point. You get at least one roll. So you're going to get at least a new unit. Now you can, save that point for something else later down the road, but you're going to get some kind of reinforcement. Even if you lose, it's not going to be one of these runaway things where, guy X wins every game. And so by the third game, there's no fighting him. No, everybody's improving. And that's the sort of agency that you want to build into your system. Now, at Nova last year, and I know I keep harping on it and people probably hate me for it, but get over it. They had 2 different systems built in. Number 1, you were building up a hero. And number 2, you were also building up your airship. So, but that was, the airship was kind of the focus of the event. And so there was several different upgrade paths. It's not like as I got better, my airship looked like everybody else's and it did what everybody else's did. And same thing with the heroes. They had, I believe, 9 different hero archetypes you could choose from. As they grew in power, they became very, very powerful critters. They were really, really cool. And that leads to player engagement in a big way because you're struggling. And the neat thing about Nova last year was there was a finite amount of resources and there was all these different ways to spend them. So you kind of had to pick what you were going to do. Like, Emma took her airship and she made it into a buff monster. It was reasonably average in terms of combat. But by God, if that thing got near you and you were on her side, you were godlike. I mean, it was amazing. And it was really cool. It was a different, most people went the route of, I want to make it faster. I want to make it more, powerful, or I want to add more to its saves and, all that stuff. No, she just went with a buff monster and it was crazy cool. They gave you all those different ways and different options. And I think that's really a key is you can't just have a linear path for everyone to take. That gets boring. So the other system that I thought was really cool, and if you really want to have a good discussion about this, talk to Chuck more about the Ithermy that they did at Realms at War this year. Now, the Ithermy was a deck of cards, that's not, the mechanic is you're basically brewing new potions, spells, sort of experimenting along the way. And they had a whole mechanism in place where you had to have your Ethermist, who was your character, your avatar, if you will. And they had to have a lab. So you had to do some sort of conversion and work. So you actually had skin in the game.
Yeah,
you put effort.
If you messed up, you became a potato.
Yeah.
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 Which is great.
And yeah, what they did was they scaled, they have a deck of cards and they scaled the power of these different brews that you could make, but you could customize how you were doing things. And each thing had its plus and its minus. And you could actually make something that was very, very powerful, but very, very tough to achieve. And like you said, if you screw it up, your Ethermist turns into a potato, which they provided the potatoes. You didn't have to model your potato.
But some people did.
That's true.
And some people also took it a step further and were like, my Ethermist has made this cool thing. So I think Rob Moore, had heroin, Aether heroin.
Okay.
So you got as many rerolls as you wanted, but at the end, your Aethermist got all these rerolls for the army. I'm probably butchering this, but it was basically he gave his opponent rerolls.
Yeah.
But for every time he rolled a reroll, he had to roll a dice at then a turn. And if it became it was either if there was doubles or there was a six, there was some mechanic that if that happened, your Aethermist or the person using that Aether heroin OD'd and was dead. So he would be like, yeah, go on. You can have another couple of rerolls.
Have it.
You can have another couple. Go on. Enjoy. I don't think many people OD'd, but
hopefully not.
I'm sure there was actually one person who just kept on going. And had like 20 odd rerolls in the game. Yeah. And still didn't OD. And he was like, yeah, I'm just high on life.
Yeah, I'm just good, baby.
But that wasn't required. That was taking it a step further.
Sure.
But I do agree. I think also making a character or unit key in the games and in the progression.
Yeah.
So if you, especially when it comes to a campaign or an event, having, okay, your character is going to be important, or this unit is going to be important. You've got to keep this unit alive. You've got to keep this character alive. Even if he just likes to Leroy Jenkins in and get wiped out, he's important.
Yes.
Protect him, protect the king.
Yeah.
Or go for the heart.
Right.
By if you're getting someone, especially if you're running an event, I think if you're getting someone to make a model, put time and effort into it, make it core to the game.
Make it a reason.
Yeah. Don't just have them show up with, okay, you've got your model kill, he's playing no part.
Yeah. Or he doesn't really do anything cool.
Yeah, he's a level 1 wizard. Kill and he costs you 80 points.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much the same as a level 1 wizard anyway. Yeah. And this scenario, well, he doesn't actually need to take part. He can be in a corner.
But yeah, in order to keep that engagement, in order to keep that person, that player wanting to be a part of that and wanting to follow through with more and more, like you said, you have to have that agency where that character is going to grow. He's going to improve. And maybe by the end of it, he can be the Leroy Jenkins. He can be the guy that runs in and beats face, but not at the first game. You know, you have to have some sort of growth progression, and it doesn't have to be character. It doesn't have to be a hero. You could actually take and base it around a unit or even reinforcements. I've seen campaign, narrative events where you started off with a 500-point army, but as you got better and as you fought more battles, you were able to increase the size of your army. The caveat being there that you could only play against someone that had a similar sized army. So if you were the guy that stomped face the first 2 games and you grew up to, say 1,200 points and everybody else is at 800, well, you're sitting out a week until everybody catches up to you. That way you don't have that runaway player. So there's all kinds of things, but you have to have, I think, some method, some player agency that keeps them involved, gives them options so that it's not just, I'm doing the same thing as I'm growing the same way as everyone else. It's just, that's boring. And yet you have to have that ability to make it interesting and make the player invested in the campaign or in the event, whatever it is you're running or a part of. You have to have that sort of growth potential.
Yeah, you have to have the hook, right?
Yeah.
The hook to keep them in. And I think that's potentially sometimes why campaigns die, because you set up the rules at the start, you play the campaign.
Yeah.
And around week 6, people start dropping. And by week 8, everybody's busy.
Yeah.
Normally.
My wife just had kittens. I can't make it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And see, that was one of the things that kind of bothered me about the Firestorm campaign setting was there was no investment in it. It's a great system, but it's one of those deals where you just pick a spot and say, I'm bringing my 2,000-point army to that spot. Anybody want to meet me there? And, so little Johnny would say, sure, I'll meet you there and let's go fight. Yeah, it's a great reason for fighting because, well, we picked a spot on a map and, there was some agency there with the realm points and the coin and all that stuff where you could build up a stronghold or anything, but it really there was very little depth. It's a good, simple system. Did you notice that awesome segue into our next segment?
It's a great system.
Yeah.
I just saw a great series of battles that we could play, which does a little bit. Yeah, let's just go over it quickly.
Okay.
So one side is either retreating from a battle that they've just lost, or they're trying to get somewhere. I think retreating from the battle works better. So you get beat.
Yeah.
Okay. We play a 2,000-point game, just to keep it fair.
Yeah.
Not that anything in the narrative needs to be fair. And you'll see this in a second. Whatever you've got left at the end of that battle, it's what you've got to get from A to B.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And there's 2 or 3 stops along the way where predetermined by the other person or both people put in, split up their 2,000-point force in like 500 points.
Yeah.
And that's what they've put at each stop. And you've got to try and it's randomized which one ambushes you. But if you can get there, you get reinforced. You get your reinforcements. Yeah. If you don't, you'll probably be wiped out at that point. But just that, run away and slow it down. Anyway.
Yeah. Now we're gonna switch around and move on to what kind of campaigns to play, and this is like I said, why I brought up Firestorm, because it is a decent. I know I gave it a lot of grief when it first came out because I was very disappointed in what it was, but I have really sort of modified that as time's gone on. The kind of campaigns that we're going to look at today are like map-based campaigns and, modified map campaigns, as well as player-made sort of things. But also there's other ways of doing it, and we'll cover some of the other ones in another show. But, you can do ladder campaigns, which are actually kind of fun, and they do have a really interesting narrative. There's a way of doing them very narratively, but we'll cover that. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, or maybe tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow we'll record again. What do you think?
There's snow.
No way?
I need to get through.
Oh, okay. So. Oh, snow. As far as map campaigns go, there's the Firestorm, And at its very basic level, Firestorm is a generic map, and you can use the stickers and all the stuff that comes with it to run any sort of campaign that you want. You don't have to use their rules. You can just use that box set. And the nice part about that is the way those stickers work, you can fold the whole thing up, put it back in the box, and it's incredibly transportable. So the next system that I'll talk about is like the Mighty Empires / Planetary Empires tiles that GW came out with, which make for an awesome, beautiful map. But as you can see, my carrying case, that big white case up there I have a 6x6 map in that case. It's not exactly transportable. So,
well, yeah, no, it's not. But it's almost where you can make a digital version of that.
yes.
And I think you lose something when you go to the grander scale, unless you're putting effort into multiple armies.
Right.
And running the narrative there. Because I think it's the granular that keeps you involved.
Yes.
So you're invested when Steve the Stormcast gets killed for the 47th time.
Mm-hmm.
You're not when it's generic, when it's Army A across the air and Army B across the air.
2,000 point Army A.
And that's just because you've zoomed out.
Right.
You know?
Now you're doing more strategic than, more than tactical.
Yeah, you're playing a game of Risk rather than a game of
AOS.
Insert game here where you care. Rather than a game of skirmish.
Yeah.
There we go. But no, that's just it, right? The further you zoom out, I think the more conscious the rules and how the mechanics work you have to be to keep people engaged.
That's right.
Mighty Empires, you're right, it looks great. Even digital versions of this where you cut up the piece of land into sections and it's a land grab.
Yeah.
That's what it becomes.
It works.
At times. Unless you have the Total War almost look at it.
Yeah.
Where you've got your empire, you're trying to make it bigger and better. That's the narrative behind it, is expansion. But random events have to happen.
Yes.
Or else it's just fighting and fighting.
Like you said, it's a land grab, and that could get fun.
Yeah. And then it's pick on the player that's doing the best to take them down.
Yeah.
And then week 8, my wife said kittens again.
Yeah, exactly. That's where
you
you
can tell
end
we've
up.
had a lot of really successful campaigns, right?
Well, I've had a few, in years past. I've had some really interesting 40K campaigns, but, back in that day, I wasn't playing fantasy. And I've seen some really good 40K campaigns that were built around resource management. And that seems to be what, they're heading to again now with the new systems in 40K. And I'm hoping they're going to do something for AOS like that, because it's a system that cries out for a good campaign type deal. And, I have faith that they'll do something along that lines. But there's also, there's infinite ways of creating, these map-based campaigns. And you touched on it earlier. It's, in this day and age, it's probably a lot easier to do it with a digital map. And there are so many tools available now to make beautiful, amazing digital maps that are, they're pretty portable because they fit on your iPad. You can print them out, whatever you need to do. And, there's tools out there like, there's Campaign Cartographer if you're into high-end mapping work, and that's more closely associated with role-playing game maps and fantasy book maps and all that stuff. But you can also use it for AOS. You could very simply make a great map in that. There's an Incarnate program. I don't know if you've ever seen Incarnate online. Have you ever seen that?
Is that the one that randomly generates a...
No, this is a web-based mapping tool that you can turn out amazing quality maps. And it's a completely web-based interface. You just log into the site, and they have a free version and a paid version. Obviously, you get more tools and more toys with the pay version. But you can jump on there. Yeah, who knew? But you can jump on there and just make it a gorgeous map.
Oh, okay.
In Incarnate for, I believe I'm almost certain there's still a free version. And there's other things out there. It just...
Well, that's it, right? I think that we're talking about map-based campaigns at the moment, right? And I think that does move it away from just your army to your empire.
Right.
It's Sigmar going back to Azir. He's no longer that fiery, vengeful god that runs out and fights face to face.
Well, it depends on what scale you put on it, too. I mean,
It can be. I mean, it could literally be, a sector, Necromunda. It could be, at which point as you go to bigger maps, it becomes that resource management.
Yeah.
Which brings me on a point that we didn't quite get onto in actually building your list, which is the one thing that I see pop up occasionally, is why does your person have that magical artifact?
oh, yes.
You
Yeah.
know, not everybody can have the Blade of Judgment. Not everybody can
What?
have the Ethereal Amulet.
There's not 200 of those?
Oh, there's probably thousands of them. But why does he have it?
Yeah.
Or why does she have it? Why does that unit have that special rule? When it comes to artifacts and things like that, give a reason
Yes.
for why you've picked it up. Don't just pick the most powerful thing. Unless you are going to an event, a match play event, then you can bend the rules a little bit. In that.
Or do pick the most powerful thing, but have a reason why it's there.
It's a magical heirloom brought by a portal.
Yeah. That's a reason, but
I love the realm gates. To be honest, if Hollywood can make a film where a schoolboy gets Excalibur out of industrial site,
yeah,
portals work for me.
Portals work just as well.
But I also think then you're sculpting. It's not necessarily a bad thing to go higher sometimes than it is to go into the details. Because just thinking about it, you're then building the story of your kingdom.
Right.
You're giving a place, you're giving a solid route of why your kingdom there. And then you get to the end of that map campaign. If you won, you expanded.
Right.
You're now, the story is, you could either keep your king or your main person or your royalty.
War band leader.
Whoever it is. Yeah. The gang leader in that sector. Their story is keeping people out.
Yeah.
Or you could have got beat so badly, all you've got is your stronghold.
Yeah.
And you're fighting in internal challenges. You might bring in a new character who you bring in for a couple of games as your side character, and then the next game you don't bring your main character, and someone could be like, well, why? And you're like, well,
he
let
got
me tell
offed.
you what happened. Yeah. But it still adds even to, and let's say during the campaign you got a lot of gold. Well, then guess what? Maybe now all your armor's made out of gold.
Yeah,
you could have that elite unit. I think the campaigns really, especially map-based campaigns, do give you a chance to theme your army around a certain place.
Yeah,
a certain area. It allows you to paint in a certain style if you want to choose a certain color scheme. Also, rather than skipping and jumping, it could also actually give you a chance to start a second force from a completely different race.
Yeah,
as they've come in as allies. If you've sounded the horn for Gondor to show up and come and help you, but guess what? Gondor didn't show up, but these halflings did.
Yay! Oh God,
it's gonna be great.
Yeah, and I think you said you brought up a good point that you can get to high scale in a map-based campaign where you do lose that flavor of the individual units. But it's another one of those deals where talk to your players, find out what they want to do. Do they want to play that grand narrative, or do they want to focus something on smaller? You alluded to this earlier too. If you do a map-based campaign, keep in mind what scale you're setting it at. If you have each hex be 100 miles, well, keep in mind that it's going to take an army a couple of days to cross that. You can just deal without it, but if you start off at a much smaller scale and you run your 6-week campaign and you do feel like you want to expand it, you can make that map that you already made only be 4 or 5 hexes in the new map that you make. And now there's more of the world to explore. There's more places to go see. So
you can do it both ways, right? You can start off where, hey, it's you versus someone in a city. That's what you've got.
Yeah.
You've got Bob and Steve, the Stormcasts, are both fighting against each other in a simulation in the Gladiatorium.
Yeah.
So you're playing these small skirmish maps. Then they're vying for Sigmar's attention to see you can get send them out. They both get picked to go out into the bigger world. So they go out into the city. They're patrolling the city. There's different encounters in the city. Someone else is playing a group of Skaven Bob the Skaven taking on Steve
Sammy the
Stonecutter.
Skaven. Come on.
And then you've got Nancy the Night Haunt coming in. Randall the Salt Baron.
Oh, I know him.
Yeah, he's an NPC. You can go to him for all your salt-related issues. But you're in the city, you're fighting in the city. Someone wins that, and then suddenly you're up in a bigger campaign where you're out and about. Or you can do it the other way, where someone has a capital, there's an end point, or both of you have a capital, and you are fighting over territory, resources. One of you is going to lose at some point. You could go to a stalemate, at which point it's just a pitch battle.
Yeah.
Right? Boom. Doesn't have to end in just no game at the end of it, or big game at the end of it. But you could have where someone's storming into your city. So you go from this map-based campaign where, Nancy the Night Haunt goes through Albuquerque and then hits Santa Fe.
Yeah.
And then just coming up in Colorado, hits Farmington, realizes, I don't want to do that. No, keeps on going, but they keep on going up through all the places, and you're fighting at each of these locations. You get to make cool maps, you get to make cool boards, different objectives.
Yeah.
But then they finally hit that main center.
Yeah.
And the game changes. No longer are we fighting on a big map, we're fighting on the city.
Yes.
And then we get down to the main place.
Now we get down to the town square.
Square, the castle, the palace. And then we're going down granular. And so we're down to two small elite war bands.
Yeah.
Fighting off against each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really, I mean, how you want to base your campaign or your event is really up to you. It's just make sure you know your player base, know who and what they want to see out of it. And honestly, how much effort you want to put into it, because all of these, any campaign that you put together is going to take some work. And what you don't want to see is doing all that work and then having nobody want to be a part of it. Definitely take the pulse of the group and figure out how you want to do it. And, I made allusion to a ladder campaign, but in reality, when you look at it, something like Path to Glory is just a glorified ladder campaign, and it works amazingly well. And so people tend to think that ladder campaigns are only for competitive events, or competitive sort of scenarios. And that's not really true. You can design a ladder campaign that is completely narrative and yet even base it around something like Path to Glory, where you have different sized forces. And you just implement a rule that says, hey, it has to be, in order to have a fight with that person, in order to challenge that person on the ladder, you have to be within 200 points of where they are. Or, if you're not doing some sort of growth league, you can just say, hey, listen, you have to have this many wins in order to challenge the guy at the top. You can't just be the guy on the bottom and rank up to the top. Most ladder campaigns are like that. You can only strike out too high or too low, 2 places above you or 2 places below you. But, you can also fold a narrative into that and say, hey, you can't just pick on, or, if you're the guy at the top, you can't just fight anybody on the ladder. You have to fight someone whose goals are opposite to yours. And you base a ladder campaign around a simple set of choices. What are your goals? And have 4 or 5 or 6, depending on how many people you have 5 or 6 different objectives. And you have to make sure those objectives are diametrically opposed. And you can only fight with people that are on the opposite side. So you actually have a ladder that has stratification in it. And it's kind of an interesting, I did a 40K campaign that was like that, where the stratification was Imperium and everything else. Go figure, huh? And so, yeah, you couldn't be the Space Marine, Blood Angel guy and challenge the Dark Angels guy, even though they're chaos.
Well, both of them are chaos, so that's good.
Hey. Leave the Blood Angels alone, pal.
At least as far as I know.
Okay, you're out of the pool. Get out.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I like, or like the idea of, is when you're starting this, we've sat and we've talked about grandiose ideas, in all honesty. We're talking about multiplayer events at an organized event where there's custom tables, there's custom models. We've talked about map-based campaigns. We've talked about online campaigns. I would suggest, if you find someone else that wants to do a campaign with you, start with a simple linked campaign.
Oh, yeah, for
that
sure.
You can do in a day.
If it's just two
That's what I would
people,
suggest.
yeah.
Okay, so we're going to play scenario 1. If A happens, we go up here. If I win, we go up here. If you win, we go down here. Same thing. Get it all done in a day. Get a little bit of engagement, and then chat with each other and go, what worked, what didn't work.
Yeah.
What really cool thing happened? What thing can we take away? What thing did we not like? And then use that to build and play your games and tell the stories of the cool things that happened
Yes.
to other people so they get excited and want to take part.
That's right.
But start off super simple. Just if
You
A
have
happens, then B happens. If
Yeah.
B happens, C happens. And oh, look, we've played 3 games and someone invaded someone else's place. Really simple. Or someone tried to invade and we stopped them.
Yeah.
Done. You can get that done in a day easily.
Sure.
Especially if you have smallish armies or even 2,000 points. As long as you dedicate a day to it.
Yep.
And then you've got a foothold in both your army's narratives.
Yeah, you have a storyline to go with now.
You've got something to start with, a seed, but I think starting simple is key because
Oh, yeah.
I think
You're not going to do a map campaign if you have 2 people. That's just silly.
well, you totally can.
Well, you can, sure, but it's not. But that was the whole idea of that discussion was for an event, for, something that's going to be, if you're going to run a narrative event, you have to be thinking along these lines.
Yeah.
You're not going to do a simple ladder at a 16-team narrative tournament.
No.
And it's just not going to work. So
I mean, it might work, but it's not going to be the best experience.
no one's going to be engaged in it.
And also, I would suggest that if you are thinking of doing a narrative event, keep it simple to start with. Have something that engages your local audience, but keep it simple for your first event.
No, I say go epic. Just go. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, you can, if you think you've got the skill and you think you've got the right players with the right idea, and maybe you've played some narrative games, and then you're like, okay, we're doing an event, and then you've got a bit of buy-in, then you can maybe go bigger.
Yeah.
But if you've got a bunch of match play people and you want to start introducing narrative,
Be careful.
yeah, because what's narrative to you isn't always narrative to other people.
Right.
And remember, some people's narrative is winning.
Beat face.
Yeah. And that's fine.
And,
But
perfectly
set the tone,
valid.
Set up, keep it simple, get some events or some experience and set up those types of events. Then you can build up and get to these things. And don't be put off when it fails. That's the other thing, because it'll fail at some point.
And you have
90% of
to,
the time.
until you are really well versed and you're really at the level of, the Mitzi, the Jimbo, the Ming Lee, the Steve Foots, hell, Aaron and Brian, Steve Herner. When you have that experience to draw on, what's going to go over well. You can gauge that. When you're just starting out with a local campaign, don't assume that you can pull, like you said, be ready to have something fail on you, because invariably it will, and you'll learn from it and you won't make that mistake again.
And you can always just wait 3 months. Gamers forget,
Oh,
and you can try again.
a lot of times, you can just sit there and get the whole group together and say, hey, listen, guys, this, I think we can agree, does not work. Let's change it.
Yeah.
And, brainstorm, figure out what part of it broke, and then move on. I guarantee you, Steve Herner didn't start out. His first event probably wasn't Holy Wars.
I hear that he's like a mythical person.
That's true. It probably was
He
Holy Wars.
He made Ratsmith hats, and then boom, Holy Wars existed.
Yeah, exactly. Poof. So,
But no, I get you. Yeah, exactly. Right. Start small. Don't be put off. Start with the simpler campaigns and build up to the big map.
That's
campaigns.
right. And if you look at all the things, and if you look at all the things that we talked about today, and you wrap that whole idea of ask your players to make a narrative list, not a crappy list, but make a list that can win games at whatever level you've decided, be it 200 points or 500 points or 2,000 points. Make that list, but make it narrative. And, you alluded to this last time we recorded, I think. no matter what, no matter how badly the campaign fails, or no matter how amazingly successful it is, make sure you do a wrap up so that that narrative, that effort that the players put into it has at least some kind of payoff where it feeds back to them and they see the story that they created mattered. That will keep your players engaged more than anything else.
And also just realize that not everybody in your group is going to want to do this.
Right.
As well. You know,
Some guy might write, 5 sentences. Yeah. My warband is together because he's the biggest, strongest dude in the land, and everybody likes him, and they think he's cool, and he brings gold and meat to the table, so we follow him. Yay.
And that's an excerpt from page 52 of Blades of Corn. No.
Was that really in there?
Yeah, probably.
Do I have that kind of memory where I remember stuff like that?
No, but it's I mean, that's right. It doesn't need to be elaborate, but what you can do, and we're going a bit off topic here, but what you can do with your player base to get them in that narrative mindset, you can, if you're running just a normal event, now maybe not a narrative event, but just I say normal as if, narrative events.
Narrative is strange.
If you're running a non-narrative event, ask just as a requirement for the event to write a 1 page or a couple of sentences. Just get them thinking about their armies. And as I do think the best thing that you can do to keep that in people's mind is ask them the coolest thing that happened.
Yes.
When they play a game. Don't ask them if they won. Don't ask them how they got on.
Yes.
Be like, hey, what was the coolest thing that happened? Anything cool happen in your battle?
And even if it's a match play event.
Yeah, no, totally.
The score sheet for the last game should have a block at the bottom that says, what was the coolest thing that happened during this event or this weekend or, whatever your time was.
Have it on everyone.
Sure. Every
just
game.
Say, did something cool happen during this game? Did something stand out to you that was super cool in this game? If so, what was it?
That's right. And it just makes it easier for you to do the write-up at the end of your event that sort of describes what happened. And, people do enjoy, I found, reading that kind of stuff. Yes, you can read just the list of who won, the little tournament down there in, Oshkosh. Yeah, okay, that's great. Johnny Schnicke's won with Stormcast Eternals, and he had 5,000 battle points, and he had 200 painting points, and he had 500 good sportsman votes. And okay, great.
But did you know that Timmy on table 3's Marauder Horseman threw a javelin right through Nagash's eye?
Yeah.
And took him down? And that's where we're starting to see some of those stories come through.
Yeah.
Due to the TV coverage that we're starting to see. I say TV coverage.
Yeah.
As I smack the mic by doing quotation marks loosely, but you've got those. We're starting to see those stories from elsewhere and realize that it's not just us.
Yeah,
they get those stories, but I think sometimes we overlook the story because we're too caught up in winning.
Yeah.
So stop during your game and smell the roses occasionally.
Look around.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was probably a really cool game. I know Paul Broussard and I played a game there at Nova where he just flat out tabled me pretty quick, but we were having so much fun because of the way the scenario was structured with the barrels of alcohol on the table. And, I've told that story before, so I won't rehash it. But yeah, that game was a blast. And I didn't care how bad I was getting beat. I was getting free beer. It was a great game.
Yeah.
And the story that came out of there of trying to take down oh my God, of me just throwing everything at trying to kill his general there or his character was hilarious until I finally had to run away from the board like a scared child and try to go help a different board because there was no point in staying there. I was just dead and I'd already drank up all the ale.
Nice.
So yeah, there's a story to be told in almost every game, and that's the key to the narrative events.
Find the story.
Yeah, find the cool story
or the boring story. It could just be a really boring story. If you're a Nagash player, you probably like accounting and stuff like that. So you could probably be like, well, 354 souls were returned to Shyish. Check.
Yes. They should have their own tally man.
Oh.
Hey, we could kill a Nurgle tally man, take his soul, and just put him to work.
I don't think that's how souls work.
Oh, bummer.
But you can capture the soul, put a bit of his essence into it, put it and go, oh, no, wait a minute, that's a different god.
I'm going to make a night haunt tally, man.
Nice. Just give him Abacus as well.
Yeah.
I don't want, or like a high-powered calculator with a graph on it, showing him Nick Ash's soul intake, and it just going down at the end.
Damn that Sigmar. All right, so have we beat narrative to death?
I feel like we have.
I think so.
If anybody is running a narrative event, get in touch.
Yes.
We do want to promote them.
In addition to match play events, please.
Oh,
anything you got going on. I have to throw an apology out to some folks that I said we would talk about their events coming up, but we ended up recording a week earlier than I thought. So in the next show, we will probably have some folks on from a couple of different events going on around the country.
Yeah, let's balance it. Balance it. We narrated it up.
Yeah, we narrated it up. But we got to go. We got to go full scale match play, and we got LVO coming up.
We do
3 weeks.
We do, where we've got
4 weeks.
I mean, all the pressure on that is on obviously Andrew.
Yeah,
from the local area.
Yeah,
he's won it twice in a row. Can he make it a third time?
I don't know.
Or was it a fluke? Who knows?
You know,
it's gonna kill me for saying that. But he only has 2 hands. So unless he starts playing Zinch and grows a third one, he won't be able to hold them up.
Hold all the hammers up. Yep.
Yeah. I'm sure as he goes getting bigger and bigger as we speak about this.
Oh,
but,
yes.
yeah, there's going to be some great coverage coming up. I think we should definitely talk about it. If we're going, then we should definitely report back on the stuff that we did there.
And I'm going to try to get interviews at LVO again. So,
nice.
Yeah.
I sadly can't go.
I know. It's a bummer.
It's okay. There's a few things happening this year that they'll be exciting, and hopefully we can get to some events and do some live cover, not live coverage, but live.
Yeah.
Without hitting the mic.
Live
quote,
dead
unquote.
coverage.
No, but like having quick interviews with people that are there.
Yeah.
Asking them their stories.
Yeah.
Getting the stories from the events. Hopefully we can get to a couple of them at least.
Yep.
So we can report back to you guys. After LVO, we will have our campaign going.
Yeah.
And the last son of Ekron, because everybody is it.
Everyone is.
Will win. That's the theme. No. So me and Bill hopefully will get some cool stuff going on. And hopefully we'll be able to report that back in the podcast. Maybe we'll get a few other people on as guests. If there's something that you would like to hear about, a topic that we haven't covered, be in touch. Ask a question. We haven't done a mailbag in a while.
Yeah, ever. I think, more close. Yeah.
We could throw that out for a bit of that, but
some of our mail is not suitable for radio.
Some of it's spam, but it's funny because Bill is the gatekeeper of all this. So occasionally he'll be like, well, did you read that? And I'm like, nope. I don't have access to that. And he's like, oh.
You have access to everything, don't you?
I don't have the email.
Oh, I got to get you that. I'm sorry.
I have the chats, which I'm sometimes... So the chats come through on Facebook, and I read them, and then I wait until Bill responds. But then I'm always conscious that maybe I've looked at it, and it's unclicked it, so it's unmarked on his thing, so he doesn't read it. But he's pretty diligent. So unless it has -Ryan after it, it's definitely Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he's better than I am. So anyway, let's wrap up the show.
Yep.
I think that's a wrap. If you get in touch if you want to. If you don't want to, keep on listening. Give us a review. Apparently these are things that we should be asking for. Give us a review on iTunes so that we can bask in our glory and have more than Garage Hammer while they're slowly building up their catalog again. Or don't. Yeah. If we have done something that's negative, like hitting our microphones, talking in weird radio accents at the start of the show, just let us know, and we'll take that feedback on. We are going to cut it and speak to you in 2 weeks.
If you would like to get in touch with us, you can reach us on our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/rollingbadpodcast, all one word. Our Patreon page is at www.patreon.com/rollingbadpodcast, again, all one word. The Twitter account for the show is at rolling_bad, and our individual Twitter accounts are, for me, at Bill Castello, Castello, and for Ryan, he is at RT Gamer. All of our guests on the show will have their contact information in the show notes, and any products that we mention will also be similarly placed in the show notes. The music for the show is used courtesy of Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com and used under the Creative Commons license.